So, and this is like from really early stages. In pre-alpha, we identify all the important spots and all the landmarks and be able to drive through the city and just prove that the layout we chose really works for the purpose, not just from visual point of view, even from like a gameplay driving experience, and from the design point of view, from the gameplay design point of view as well. If the distribution of the places you're supposed to visit are working, and if the distances are not too long and boring. But as I said, the New Orleans was like under the water, so we wanted to have even this kind of visual element in our version of the city, in our new Bordeaux. So technically the north downtown is actually under the water. In the early stages, we really prototype on many different ideas. We played with the idea, okay, how about just to break the levee and flood the downtown? It was like a few years after Katrina, and it felt like a really interesting, like from visual point of view for me, it was really interesting idea, which we kind of played with. In the pre-alpha stage, we did like, that's the place where you do all the experiments. So we tried that with the new feature with the boat. We did a fast test just to see, okay, this is how it might look like. I don't know, for me, it was really visually interesting and something different. You can experience the space which you drove in the first chapter of the game, and now you're driving in when it's flooded. But as many of you know, if you're developers, like not everything what is sitting on your drawing board will make it to the final game. But in this case, surprisingly, it was not like much about the technical reasons, but we never really find a strong point in narrative and in design, just how to use this feature. So at the end, it didn't made it to the game.
And this is a fun example we did, which is just showing what the city looked like a few years before it was released. And within this, you can kind of see how some areas developed over time and how the roads and landmarks changed. For example, the community church moved at one point. Later on, we ended up adding the Briar Patch to Delray Hollow, again, to kind of emphasize an underlying racist issue, which is over here on the left side. As the game developed, though, a lot of the landmarks themselves didn't change that much, for the larger skyline of this area. But it was important to, again, constantly drive through the districts and get a sense for, does this feel appropriate for the player tolerance and excitement and features to get from A to B.
Yeah, now you can see a nice example how the bridges and the different elevation create a different point of view to the player, that you can you can get to your place and see the individual parts of the city from really different perspective. And again, it helps to navigate through the city, and again, it helps to create its own character and flavor.
And of course, throughout all development, you're going to come across areas that aren't quite finished. Here you're just running through a park. There's other situations where props are in a state of moving throughout the city. But one thing that we wanted to make sure was that, again, the player never got lost with pathways. So here's an example where we explicitly laid out pathways in early stages to make sure the flow was appropriate. But we went back later and disguised those as parking lots or dirt roads or other things. So it didn't feel like the player was sort of locked into just a rail. And an interesting bit of fiction or fact is that the amusement park that was normally in its final form in Del Rey Hollow actually was featured in Frisco Fields because that's where it was based on in the original New Orleans. But it was moved to Del Rey Hollow for a much stronger emotional impact.
Yeah, and again, a nice example of like a vintage point you can use just to navigate to the spot you need instead of just following the GPS. All those are key components which made the new Bordeaux what it is today. And yeah, sometimes the early stages are kind of rough, but as you can see on those examples, it's not that far from what we had in a 3D draft stage, what we ended up at the end.
Place, park, scene dark, silvery moon is shining through the trees. Cast to me you, sound of kisses floating on the breeze. Act one, be